This review builds off my previous two Tomb Raider reviews. You should probably watch those first. Or not. Whatever, I don't fucking care. Do whatever the hell you want. Tomb Raider 3 was released in 1998 for the original PlayStation and PC, 1 year after its predecessor. This quick turnaround wasn't really a surprise since people could get their feet wet in the game via the demo included in the last one. After the rousing success of the second title, it looked like Tomb Raider games were set to make its rounds every year, at least every year in the immediate future. Lara was insanely marketable, people were praising the franchise, everyone was buying the merchandise. Things were going well for Lara and the core design team, except for the fact that they needed to crank out one of these puppies every year. Since the turnaround time for this game was very short, Tomb Raider 3 is once again relying on the same engine as its predecessors. There's some more improvements made, but the foundations laid out by the forebears remain true. This time around, the team implemented multicolored lighting effects, environmental rain, fog, wind direction, and gone were the days of using 2D sprites as collectibles. The addition of save crystals allowed the PSX players to save anywhere given they had the resources. Music was implemented to a greater degree, potentially causing you to freak out. The game returned to its alinear stage design, pushing larger stages, multiple paths, entire segments that could be missed or skipped over, and the freedom to play out the levels in any order they chose, making repeat playthroughs less repetitive. The game greatly rewarded the thorough players by giving them plenty of weapons, ammo, and health, and greatly punished players for simply pushing on ahead. By the end of this game, I actually didn't have all the weapons on deck. This stuff isn't handed out to you like it was before. It's a very ambitious game that embodies everything Tomb Raider should be about. A globe-spanning adventure. A focus on exploration and discovery. A high degree of alinearity. Huge sprawling levels. Multiple options for repeat playthroughs. Rewards for unorthodox thinking and exploration. And a bonus level for completionists that managed to find 59 out of the game's 60 well-hidden secrets. On paper, it sounds like the perfect Tomb Raider game. What could be wrong with it? Well, Tomb Raider 3 holds the title for the most difficult Tomb Raider. Last time I completed the game was as a small child on my PlayStation. Little me needed a lot of walkthroughs and painkillers to complete it. Since then, most of the game had long since faded from my memory. I'm really glad I got to experience this thing like it was a brand new game again, because otherwise, I would have definitely shown some heavy positive bias in this review. I thought Kid Me was a chump. Fucking baby that needed magazine and walkthroughs and shit. I'm an adult. I went to college. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, and I'm fresh off of Tomb Raiders 1 and 2. I'll eat your shit alive. Well, before we get into that piece, let's visit Lara's home and see what new things await us. Our third venture into Lara's home proves to be the most all-inclusive tutorial of the bunch. It's worth noting that for the first time, PSX players would also have the benefit of analog control here since the DualShock 1 had finally been implemented for the game. Lara invites the player to roam around the house where they can find the reconstructed in-home gym that was taken down in Tomb Raider 2. Lara will begin instructing the player on her basic skill set, calling back to the first Tomb Raider game.
Press forward and almost immediately press and hold the jump button. I won't actually jump until the last minute.
It's here where players will be introduced to Lara's new maneuvers. The crouch, crawl, monkey swing, and sprint are given a proper area for quick testing before Lara instructs the player to the obstacle course outside. Here the player will get to put their skills against the clock. I like that these two tutorials are combined. The first game only gave a small space to quickly test maneuvers before kicking the player into the main adventure. The second game's explanations would be rushed over since the player was tempted to run through the obstacle course. Putting these two scenarios together means the player gets the proper explanation and the room to properly test their skills under pressure. It goes one further by finally handing the player the handguns, allowing them to come to grips with the combat mechanics, though your opponents will certainly be tougher than the old man that waits on you hand and foot. Speaking of combat, Lara's weapon count is again jumped up, but only by 1, coming to a total of 8 weapons. One of the new additions here is the rocket launcher, a better version of the nerfed grenade launcher. I say nerfed because its range has been dramatically decreased since its last outing. It can only fire grenades like 6 feet away from Lara. The Uzis have also taken a big hit to damage output, no longer making them a go-to power weapon of choice. Instead, the player will likely opt for the Desert Eagle, the other new inclusion. It's on par with the shotgun's high damage output, but can perform well at longer ranges, making it the standout power weapon. The returning harpoon gun is still pretty much negligible, but actually gains some usefulness in the city stages where Lara must solve a complex underwater puzzle with enemies lurking about. Anyway, aside from just being an all-inclusive tutorial stage, Lara's home has some proper puzzles to solve like an actual tomb, going further towards rounding out the player's experience. You put out a chimney fire, move some fucking blocks, rush to a hidden aquarium, find a key, and gain access to a safe place to try out a vehicle. Really, this is the most fleshed out Lara's home has ever been, and covers every aspect of the Tomb Raider fundamentals. It even transitions nicely into the main adventure by just allowing you to leave through the front gate.
Now it's time for our third adventure.
It's a very well-made tutorial stage that lets the player do things at their own pace. Now there's one puzzle here I'd like to turn your attention to, that being the Chimney Climb. I think this instance here is a good summary of the kind of thing Tomb Raider 3 likes to do. Basically, you put out a chimney fire and enter the shaft. Now Lara can climb one of these walls, and the texture marking the climbable wall is slightly different. There are some holes here to signify the wall is climbable. This is a little tough to notice on lower resolutions, but this perfectly captures the kind of subtlety Tomb Raider 3 likes to pull. I've watched people completely miss the climbable wall. I mean, you should deduce there's something to do here, as you've just flipped the switch affecting that area, but it stresses that you need to keep a watchful eye. Look for anything different. Trust me, you're gonna need it. The game hints at a lot, very subtly, but a good number of times the game mistakes being subtle for being a complete cunt. You know, there is a distinction between subtle and cunty, but anyway, what's this kooky kid up to this time? Lara is hunting out a strange artifact she heard about in India. No word or reason as to how she heard about it, but she wants it, so she gonna go get it. Still doing whatever the hell we want? All well and good here. This narrative is actually told in a much more factured fashion this time around, and the player will have to listen to the exposition of the other NPCs to fully grasp everything. In short, a meteor hit the Earth in the Antarctic region millions of years ago. Some people find it and begin worshipping it sometime later. They craft 4 artifacts from it. They abandon the thing sometime later when one of their tribesmen was born without a face. Then in 1834, a crew of people find the artifacts and split their take 4 ways. One sells their piece in London, and the others are killed off for their shit in India, Nevada, and the South Pacific Islands. Some point Dexter has established a company called RX Tech to seek out the meteors in the Antarctic region, and we're coming across Lara as she hunts for the Indian piece she's heard about. Alright, the Indian stages kick off with the jungle. Now Tomb Raider 1 had the first 4 stages act as the lead-in to the more complex sprawling areas. Tomb Raider 2 kicked off things a little tougher with the Great Wall, but its linear nature still made a good game introduction. Both games had some sort of concept of a difficulty curve. Start easy, transition to hard. Tomb Raider 3 doesn't have a difficulty curve. Tomb Raider 3 has a difficulty dick. It's just gonna fuck you. It has an amazing tutorial stage, but this is not a first Tomb Raider game. For anyone. Seriously, there is no soft lead-in, and every stage goes all out with its sprawling design. This means that no art assets are wasted on simplified stages, and you're getting an all-inclusive tomb raiding package. But it also means that new players aren't going to be eased in. Once the player slides down a lethal hill, the level opens up everywhere. You can go the wrong way, die, finally figure out where to begin pushing forward, then die again. Having Tomb Raider 2 in my backlog kept things from getting too out of hand. In that game, if an area became sprawling, the player would only have to explore around for the next doable puzzle. From there, the stage led the player to where they needed to be through clever shortcuts, usually looping the player around every area of the stage at least once. Doing just that in the jungle helps to some degree, but won't stop some players from checking off points since there's multiple ways to properly push forward. A good example being this section with the log. You can choose to climb up, flip a switch, and then proceed on land, or just swim underwater. Both are going to take you where you need to go, but if you think you need to interact with everything to complete the stage, something you had to do in Tomb Raider 2, then you gotta have a bad time. That line of thinking will result in pointless backtracking, and can begin throwing you on loops you don't necessarily need to go on. This kind of alinearity was present in the first Tomb Raider with stages like Palace Midas, which could be completed in a variety of orders. The difference here is that all of that stage was necessary for completion. All of the jungle is not. This new type of alinearity, combined with the massive increase in stage size, will prove to put most players at a grinding halt. To put an extra kick in the dick, there's 31 pickups scattered around, the most important of these being the shotgun, which can be easily skipped over. You'll be amazed at just how easy it is to completely miss hidden areas. Nothing is going to be handed to you. At worst, you'll find yourself at the later stages with only 1 or 2 power weapons. After ping-ponging around through the jungle, Lara finds a crazy person, and then heads into the temple ruins. The temple ruins is also massive and sprawling, but since more of it is mandatory, it's not as likely to make you utterly lost like the jungle, which isn't saying much. You physically have to work your way inside the temple from the jungle, and inside, Lara will go full-on Indiana Jones, overcoming many traps and challenges. These challenges lack the same amount of polish present in Tomb Raider 2, and one of the reasons is for the way some gaps are set up. I mentioned in my Tomb Raider 1 review that I only had to fight the camera once. In Tomb Raider 2, the camera was practically invisible. In Tomb Raider 3, I found myself having to make sure that my gaps were properly faced on a more frequent basis. It's made even worse since Lara becomes stuck in corners. Like, she'll physically get stuck in place at 90-degree angles so you can't back up for a good jumping distance. This issue didn't exist before, so why does it exist now? Gaps in general are just set up in a more asshole-ish way, either coming at an odd angle or demanding absolute perfection. The fuck? Why? This change to the level traversal had me going from attempting speedruns without dying to saving at any moment I felt even the slightest uncertainty. A lot of times you'll hit brick walls in your traversal, and this will make you want to try things to advance. Sometimes they work out, and other times this causes your death. The best example for this stage is this room here. Earlier, it was filled with water, and some fire statues highlighted some invisible blocks that you could climb on. They allowed you to access a door switch and let you jump around pretty far. After flipping a lever and escaping a trap, the room is now filled with quicksand. Walking across results in your death, so tell me, what do you think the solution to crossing the quicksand is? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? What? The blocks are gone? Well, fuck, okay, I'll jump as far as I can, walk to the other side, and oh no, wait, no, Lara's not willing to pull herself up on the other side. Well, okay, this logically rules out walking across. I just tried it. It didn't work. The blocks are gone. Maybe on the other side. Maybe they moved around? The middle? See, now you just spend some time just trying shit. Trying anything. What the fuck is gonna get me across this lake of mud? You ready? Ready for the solution to the puzzle? You're supposed to walk on the right side. That's it. Just walk across, but near the right wall. What tips you to this? Some debris falls in the middle of the room. Not everywhere, just near the middle. So that's logically supposed to tell you that only the corner is safe. Remember what I was saying about the chimney? You really gotta notice everything so you can appropriately guess what the game wants. You can't pull yourself up at any other point besides the designated points. I thought this would be it, honestly. To think that once I could not see beyond the veil of reality, to see the assholery which dwelt behind. I was once a fool. Lara beats up some Sheva statues and finds some real horror game shit. This becomes the final set of puzzles, leading Lara to find the crazy guy floating down the raft. The river Ganges is a test of the player's vehicle skill, but there's a new function of the vehicles that wasn't explained to the player. Yeah, it can cruise along fine until the section where the player needs to make a longer gap. Backing up as far as you can and driving won't put the player over the gap. Attempting to speed up the twisted slope is also an unprofitable endeavor. Turns out the sprint button works as an accelerate in place function that will allow Lara to clear the gap fine. This is not explained to you. You just have to hit buttons hoping something new happens. Or, deal with the frustration trying to make the gap in the jankiest way. After chasing the man down the river, Lara makes it to the caves of Kalia. This is really just a boss stage with a maze slapped in front of it. You're going to run around for a bit, maybe find some pickups here and there before getting to confront the crazy scientist. Lara shoots him until he's dead, then she finds Dr. Poindexter on her exit. Basically, this dude is heading the RX Tech Company. He tells Lara about the other artifacts, the history intrigues her, he asks if she wants to seek out the rest, and she's like, yeah, sure, why not? So the player is given free reign over where they want to go next, one of the best aspects about Tomb Raider 3. There's no particular order to how events can play out. This does come with big setbacks, however, the biggest one being that the game once again strips Lara of all her equipment in the Nevada stages. If you manage to get all the firearms and do the Nevada stages last, your shit's all gonna get taken. Then you may end up with less power weapons than you originally had in the end game. This is made worse since it also deprives Lara of ammo reserves and health packs. It's this reason I recommend doing these set of stages second, at least you may potentially only have your pistols to lose. I wasn't so fortunate, however. Tired of the jungle scenery, I opted to head to the city to shake up the visuals. Now, did I say Tomb Raider 3 lacked a difficulty curve? I'm technically incorrect. There's the initial difficulty dick, then there's the big black difficulty dick. The city stages kick off with Thames Wharf, a stage that takes full advantage of some vertical space. The level does point you in the direction you want to descend, but you can head down the other way. The initial puzzles can be solved out of order, but once those are solved, advancing from the starting section is another one of those watchful eye moments. Advancing forward requires jumping to a roof outcrop and shimmying right until you find some ground you can climb on. The way the player is lured here is a small health pickup, but you could be forgiven for thinking it's just an optional extra thing. I mean, there's other areas to go off and explore, so I can't state enough how much this seemed like just an extra health pickup. Once you advance through a way that looks like it's just a secret, know what the next way forward is? No, not the rooftop, silly. It's the way with fucking fire! Yep, make sure you're at the corner and just drop down on the fire. No. There's no way to put it out. You just drop down while it's very much active. Fuck off, game. I praise the use of fire to muddy the way forward in the living quarters of Tomb Raider 2, but only because there were proper clues to arriving at that solution. The grippable surfaces and the walls are visible, steering you to use the flammable platforms. This way it just looks like the game is highlighting a trap to avoid. Like it's saying, don't jump here, it's dangerous. Heading down the fire path leads you to a devious set of switch puzzles in some kind of docking bay. What makes it devious is that you need to hit certain switches twice. The one you need to hit twice affects two different things, the water level in one room and the fans in another. You have no idea the switch affects the fans when you initially hit it, and since the water level is a non-issue in the areas you need to explore after hitting the switch once, hitting it again isn't really a go-to solution. It's just something you sort of try when you've exhausted other options. From there you can gather how the area works and push through to the rooftops once more, where Lara will come across an assassin who clues her into the existence of Sophia Lay, the holder of the next artifact piece. Too bad she has to go through Aldowich first. Holy shit! If Aldowich was a black guy I'd know, he'd be 9'3", have a 20-inch dick, grills, a sick ride, and a short temper. Probably beats you up 3 times a week because you didn't pay him his money.
Tyree, you stabbed my dad!
And now he's gonna stab you, young blood.
Keep your butthole tight!
The big trick of Aldowich is that it lures you into a false sense of security because there's always something to do in every direction of the map. If you venture off some way, you're gonna have something to do there. Some set of puzzles that you can interact with. Now remember, Tomb Raider 2 would never ask you to solve a puzzle on one end of the map, then require you to do something totally different on the other end without little things in between to steer you around. That philosophy is entirely abandoned here. You can totally begin working your way through one end of the map and then find things to do on the other, winding up having to go back and forth because of that one detail you missed. You have to remember that some rooms had a dynamic action applied to them and revisit them later. And there's some of that stupid bullshit to go with it. Like, Lara finds an old coin. Okay? Old coin. Know those structures you passed by earlier at the start of the stage? Those like generic 3D models? Lara can actually interact with one of them. She has to put the coin in one of the things for her ticket. Like, what part of these things screamed interactable object? Having fun trying to swim through this door? Train! I know I have to keep a watchful eye. I know the hints are here and they're subtle, like, no, in this room with the curtains, you can just jump through one of them, because it's like slightly longer than the others here. It seems harmless, it really does. You can feel like you're making progress. Then it just utterly stops. Then you gotta find that one thing, that one something. Wait, I can jump on these? Ah, fuck! This is easily, no contest, the most difficult Tomb Raider stage ever. But it wasn't for the right reasons. Now usually when I'm prepping for these reviews, I play the stage, and then I make some notes, you know, some standout stuff, little details. At this point, particularly after I stole a well-guarded ceremonial hammer to break a padlock, I noticed a shift in my note-taking. I went from basic stuff like level design, secrets, and standout puzzles to like cunty things the game did to me. It's really hard to describe. This game is kind of a complete dick to you, but like, it spaces it out just enough to where you don't question it in the moment. But when you stop and look at a summary of what happened to you, like, you realize the game's kind of a cunt. Like an abusive spouse that shows their good side at first, then just beats you like a fucking slave, then tells you it'll get better and offers you gifts when you want to leave. That doesn't get better. They just keep putting you through their shit. When you have two slopes that look identical, and one causes Lara to slip down, and the other doesn't, that's cunty. Making the player guess through trial and error how to solve a complex underwater puzzle, leading to many drowning deaths, that's cunty. Not being able to proceed the way you're supposed to, because Lara wasn't standing in just the right spot. Look, her hands are clearly going over the ledge. That's cunty. You may lead players away from where they're supposed to be because of this. When I get shafted without any sort of telegraphing, when you get killed off for trying to explore an area that was just previously accessible, when enemies spawn in the small places right behind you when there's no way they could have had access to you, when Lara refuses to attack an enemy she can clearly fucking see in the light of day because it's not attacking her first, when you force me to drown in certain areas, when you place green health crystals in places that will ultimately kill Lara, or when you place them in areas that draw her attention only to steer her towards her death, that's mega levels of cunty. Forcing Lara to exit vehicles in places where enemies are ready to chew at her, when Lara just refuses to grip on surfaces that she can walk on, that's artificially being a cunt. When platforms just fall out from under you without any warning, making you learn by death. Canoe controls, cunty. Enemy placement and effects on Lara, cunty. When you do your best to avoid a massive whirlpool, then decide that it must be the way forward, max out your health, then descend into it only to be killed, then try it again to find that it works, fuck off. Just fuck off. Once again, not explaining controls and making the players learn by death. Puzzles that can't be telegraphed at all and force me to guess what to do is cunty. It's like playing someone's stupid Kaizo Mario World ROM hack at some points. Not all the way, but some parts will literally just make you say out loud, like, fuck off, that's what you wanted? I fucking tried that already, but I didn't do it in the exact spot. Excuse me, game. Fucking excuse me. Must be a retard. Sorry. So Lara goes through Outer Witch to Lude's Gate. It's another stage with multiple ways to complete it. It throws out some henchmen that get gunned down pretty easily. Then Lara can push off in a few ways. The way I chose was up a shaft, so Lara crawls her way through finding a hole to a hallway. Now look at this. She can easily get down from here. I'm looking at the floor. The hole is wide enough, but Lara still won't exit the shaft. Why? Because she's not exiting to the hanging position. She has no animation for it, so it makes her seem like a fucking retard. See, this is what I mean. Just stupid shit like this. Is it so much to ask for immersion purposes that this hole be covered with like a grate maybe? No? Alright. The switch puzzles in this room here are fine, but will stump players not used to looking for monkey bar traversal. Monkey bar traversal can easily halt a player's progress initially since they've never had to think vertically before. This is made worse when grippable textures aren't explicitly clear. Further ahead, players with quick reaction times will gain access to another part of the stage, where others will be dropped down a shaft to the end of the level. This leads to that underwater section I was whining about. You can approach this section from two different angles, and I'd argue that this is the more difficult angle to do it from. Players may think they're going to get led up to that section they just fell past, but that won't be the case. I really do like the multiple paths some of these stages can take. This part is just pure cuntery, however. Players won't know there's an air pocket here. You can end up repeatedly searching some spaces. Hell, picking the wrong spaces will usually result in death, so it's repeated trial and error until you can push forward. This stage cruelly leads you to some big drops, but the way forward is actually early on in the hallway shaft. This pushes you to Sophia Leigh's office. She's actually also voiced by Judith Gibbons, so this is really just Lara talking to herself. At least she knows why she's here.
All I want is the artifact.
Yeah, you do. I just want some fucking talcum powder for my asshole. The boss fight with Sophia makes an effort to change up the formula. Instead of just shooting her to death, you platform up the city under fire. And then you do... Wait. This box. No, can't interact. Oh, no, wait a second. You shoot it. You shoot this box, and then... Oh... You shoot this box, hop over, and then take her shit. Jesus Christ. Look, if you're crazy enough to make this shit your first Tomb Raider game, you're gonna need some guidelines. Some tips from this old drunk that'll really help you along. I call this my kick-ass instructions lending lift for modish entrance of the tomb raiding arts. You follow these rules, kid, and your first time through Tomb Raider 3 may not leave your asshole on the outside. Rule 1. Look up. Even if you remotely think you're supposed to be over there, don't try jank jumps. Look up. Monkey bar. Saves a lot of grief. Rule 2. Hug walls and test around the map exterior. You'll find shit you would have otherwise missed. Sweep everything and everything. Rule 3. Keep an eye on textures. You'll be surprised at what this game counts as a climbable wall. If it don't look climbable, try it anyway. Rule 4. Look up! No, seriously, fucker, look up! Rule 5. Save often. If this is your first time, get the PC version. Then save, and then save again, because you never know when it'll be up to luck. Rule 6. Check around green crystals in later stages, specifically in Nevada. These things were your friend at one point, but now they're here to fucking make you die. Rule 7. Look up! Rule 8. Just have a walkthrough on hand, because if you're able to like 100% this, let alone complete this game on your own your first time through, well then fuck off, because no one cares. Also, this is likely like the only rule you need. We then venture off to the South Pacific, because that's where I selected next. The coastal village has some branching paths, one through the wilderness, and one that's harder to access in a hut. Accessing the hut path makes the way to the village much easier, but it's not short of its cunty moments. I like that it creates scenarios that are punishing and irreversible, like the light puzzle here, but the things that aren't telegraphed is when things feel cheap. The village section makes for some nice combat sections, and poison enemies never really become an issue since health packs are usually in abundance. Hey, remember when everyone lost their shit when Resident Evil 5 came out, showing Chris gunning down Africans? Remember when Lara mowed down a bunch of black people? The 90s. You also need to remember to look up. Not assume there's a way to retract the spikes in the hut. Even if you see the spikes emerging from the huts after reloading a death, you just gotta know this, okay? You just gotta know. The crash shot introduces a bullshit map puzzle. I really hope you don't skip cutscenes, otherwise you're gonna be fucked. It shows Lara getting a map from a wounded soldier, but it's very understated. He hands it to her mid-conversation about something else. Up until this point, everything Lara has carried is usually some sort of usable key, or item that needs to be used in a certain spot, so it's unlikely that you're gonna pop open your inventory and look at the map first thing. The area you just came from has been unloaded from the game, but you may spend a few deaths figuring that out. The map given to you is for the swamp area, specifically to tell you where to jump. Neat once you figured it out, but you have to figure it out. After that, the frenemy mechanic from Tomb Raider 2 is called upon again in the form of the soldiers wandering around the jungle. Lara was told by the wounded soldier to help his comrades, so why does she still opt to target a soldier helping her in combat over a fucking raptor? I still can't control who I auto-target. I don't mind the option of choosing to kill my allies, but this is still annoying. Lara should only opt to target a soldier if there are no raptors. I really tried this time. I tried to save the soldiers, but even after the painstaking effort of save scumming and making sure the soldiers were safe, turns out it didn't matter, because you're just going to end up blowing them away with an explosive sentry gun in the end. For fuck's sakes, game! The T-Rex boss returns and it's pretty brutal unless you cheese it out. I actually managed to kill it on my first try, but also killed a soldier by accident. I reloaded, then learned the hard way that my first kill was actually insanely lucky. This boss is actually pretty brutal. This resulted in my cheesing it out. This stage also has sections that could be skipped over and entered from the wrong side as well, which is the best aspect about the stage. The Madubu Gorge sees Lara traversing up rapids. You may have to learn the hard way that Lara can't swim in the rushing water. What's more annoying is learning the hard way that she can't swim in the calmer sections without being forced to stay underwater and drown. Really, you just need a watchful eye to catch places you can monkey swing from and places you can climb. This requires watching the texture work carefully so you know where you can safely exit areas. Some spots get pretty devious with its positioning of its climbable surfaces, and other spots get ash-hole-ish with its position of crystals. Lara has to push up the gorge to a canoe. Next to the snowmobile, this vehicle controls like ass. It's very clunky. So much so that when I went down the gorge, I just opted not to do anything. Once fully down the stream, I found the door was shut. I thought I was trapped in the area until I realized Lara apparently has the upper body strength to paddle up raging rapids. Once you make that realization, you can canoe yourself to the next section of puzzles where crocodiles await you to disembark. Once you monkey bar your way back upstream, you're looped around to your starting position via the big plug in the gorge. Why is there just a big plug in the gorge? Once pulled, you descend into the whirlpool. Yes, even if it kills you sometimes, it is definitely what you're supposed to do. This leads Lara to the Temple of Puna. It houses one of the most ash-hole-ish traps ever conceived in a Tomb Raider game with the rolling spikes. Pressure and delicate moves with Lara's control scheme don't really mesh. The following puzzle with the descending spike ceiling can be halted with the movable block, and the Bolsa puzzles make for some action-packed sprinting scenes. This boss is pretty brutal, and by brutal, I mean cunty. If he lands even a single attack on you, you die. It feels like trial and error because you have to learn the pace of his attacks, and you're going to learn with your many deaths. So I hope you've been saving frequently. He attacks quickly when approached, and almost immediately after an enemy is dispatched of. Once you know the quirks of his patterns, you can appropriately time out your jumps. Hopefully you have a power weapon though, because the pistols will do the job incredibly slow. He spawns mini enemies mid-fight, and they become huge assholes without a way to quickly dispatch them. Pistols only means you'll frequently end up in awkward positions when they're finally killed, and you need to be ready to side flip once that happens. If you're not in an ideal spot, then you just flip to your death. It's so much of an inconvenience that I'd say a power weapon here is actually necessary. Once you finally manage to kill him, it's off to the final area. In my case, it's Nevada. Nevada weirdly felt dramatically easier than either of the previous two sections. This stage is all about pushing forward, and it closely resembles the level design structure of Tomb Raider 2. In fact, the 3 stages here perfectly conform to the Tomb Raider 2 style of design, so I actually didn't hit any roadblocks here. Well, any real roadblocks. I found some artificial ones where Lara refuses to grip in a spot she could walk on, and one where Lara again had to be in a perfect spot to pull herself up. This is really just poor design. This isn't clever in any way. I know this is the way I'm supposed to go, but Just why are you being a dick about it? You get looped to some water streams that may stall some players. Really, it's just finding a hidden path from between some support structures. But other than that, Nevada was refreshingly straightforward. It's quite a lengthy stage too, not much changing in scenery, but definitely a sense of progression. It ends with Lara doing an awesome leap over into government territory, or maybe just eating complete shit. She seems to be doing that a lot in this game.
Who are you working for?
The high security compound lets you start a prison posse to beat up the man. Of the Lara loses all her shit segments that Tomb Raider has thrown out, this is probably my favorite take on it. Using the big, strong prison men to combat the guards instead of just beating them up is the way to go. Why get my hands dirty? Like Nevada, this stage follows the Tomb Raider 2 level design philosophy. The level's big and sprawling, but you're going to have a good idea on where you need to be at all times. The pacing here is vastly better than its City and South Pacific counterparts. I mean, at least until the block puzzles were like, Lara can move this block, but not this block, even though they look exactly the same. You're just forced to move the one that's further away. Game, just fuck off. This is also the place where the green crystals are used to lure you into lethal traps. Why is there so much trial and error in my Tomb Raider game all of a sudden? Look at this one in front of some lethal lasers. Look at that. It's very thin and hard to see, but they're there. Look, even Lara's had enough. She finishes the stage and just decides to get tanked to numb the pain. Area 51 is a massive dungeon-like stage that replaces the boss encounters of the other levels. Rather than working her way to a boss fight, Lara's challenge is this massive facility. It's huge inside, but surprisingly hard to get lost in. Seriously, if there was ever a time to conform to the Tomb Raider style of exploration, this is it. I think this is mainly again because most of these stages are mandatory, so the designers have to loop you around in sensible ways. It's when there's multiple paths that things begin to get rough on the player. There's some sections that could be a little bit better about backtracking, like the loop through this missile silo, and some more asshole stunts like pulling the floor out from under you, but really this is one of the most enjoyable stages to complete. It felt like the challenge was stemming from the right place. It was more of a can you do it as opposed to a should you do it, which is present in the other puzzles. Anywho, Lara casually enters an alien ship, guns down more government agents. Seriously, like, you live in a mansion, you're really easy to find. Do you not think there's repercussions for this? No? Okay, just making sure. She steals the artifact on the ship and flies to Antarctica with a nice helicopter pilot. They come to some trouble and make a janky landing. When the thing starts sinking into the ice, she makes like zero effort to save the guy, almost immediately just pops out like, hey, glad it ain't me. Man, what a bitch. Antarctica kicks off the last set of stages. I wondered if the snow particles here was the reason the stage didn't have many coins out in the open. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Seriously though, we're going to pretend that I did the right thing here by getting the raft first, not cheesing out the freezing river by frequently hopping in and out of the water. That's what we're going to pretend. Seriously, doing something like this is totally my fault, but this is the kind of thing Tomb Raider 3 can have you doing. This is where Tomb Raider 3 transitions from an action-adventure title to a survival horror game. The sprawling area here always leaves the player with something to do, my only gripes being the tanks the player has to interact with to open a door and the crowbar. Lara uses the crowbar on a door, then drops it. Now she still needs the item, so why did she drop it? This may cause a player to have to backtrack to the crowbar again. This probably has something to do with the engine itself. Lara finds Dr. Poindexter in the shack and learns of his true intentions. To use the meteorite to super advance human evolution. Lara's not very keen on the idea, so she pulls out her gun and beats up that nerd or eats shit again. Wait, dude, you have her pinned on the floor. You know she's gonna try and stop you. Just kill her! Why are you just leaving her there? Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Lara follows Poindexter down into the mines. This part of the stage starts off in an infinite loop. The player has to realize they're not making any progress and attempt running backwards in different spots to find a way down. This leads Lara into the mine shaft where we find the DK64 mine cards that lead us to the other sections of the stage. You aren't told the controls, so trial and error, buddy. Trial and error. You know, I don't think I fucking died this much in my virgin run of Dark Souls. Once the mine cards are figured out, Tomb Raider 3 really picks up its horror vibe. Seriously, this title's horror genre game is on point. Even though I fucking getting this here does not matter at this point. I just have to go again. Alright, let's just go. Holy shit! Oh my god. Did not see him. Yeah, definitely do that. Take that! Oh god, I'm not prepared! Oh, I'm not prepared! Oh, oh. Oh god, I have nothing. I have fucking nothing. Jesus Christ, alright. Yeah. Basically, all Lara has to do is use the mine carts to head around collecting parts to submerge the submarine to the freezing water. This leads to more trial and error swimming where the player needs to find air pockets to avoid freezing to the submarine. Then you gotta make your way down deeper. Make sure to watch in front of you, because if you emerge the wrong way out of this long swim up, like any other direction than the one Lara can pull herself out of the water from, you're gonna freeze and die. Lara chases Poindexter to the lost city of Tinnis, which is the game's final dungeon. It's also where the game comes out in full cunt force. Firstly, you traverse the initial section for levers to activate. After switching 3 of them, the player finds this puzzle here. Like, what the fuck is this? I actually figured this puzzle out by reverse engineering it. I solved it by luck first, then figured out why my solution works. From what I can gather, it's like the order of the food chain. Man is on top, and then the subsequent layers are just animals or plant life. The appropriate animals need to be on the higher end of the hierarchy, which is what the arrows on the edge mean. I'm sure some people got the clue, but I'm definitely not one of them. Following that is a bridge that spawns a fuck ton of wasps. They highlight an invisible platform, so excuse me for thinking if that's where I needed to go. The way forward is actually tucked away in an outcrop on the side. The level design then mimics St. Francis Folly. Lara has to go off in 4 challenge areas collecting keys in the end. Only these challenges are either much worse or much more cunty. There's a luck-based trial and error fire puzzle. I couldn't telegraph which platforms would cause fire to spout from them. This was literally jump to a safe platform, make a save, and then jump again. A water puzzle you can't start unless you're lucky with your dive. A long stupid maze that's just a long stupid maze. A section filled with rock slides placed at cunty points. From there I had to get one more key which involves some combat sections. These wasp things weren't particularly annoying at the bridge, but they are infuriatingly annoying at every other point you encounter them. You can't just proceed or explore safely without this fucking shit hounding you. It's not difficult in the slightest. You pick a spot and then camp them out with pistols until they stop spawning. They're just incredibly tedious. I just want to move on. Just sitting here, waiting for you to be dead, so I can move on. Wow, there sure are a lot of these things. I wonder how many people thought they never stopped spawning and tried to push on with their annoying presence. Still standing here. Still standing here. Still standing here. Wow, still standing here. Oh good, you're done. Fucking A. Time to go into the next room, and nope, nope, no, no, nope. Holy fuck, no, fucking A. Okay, I killed them, they're gone. Now I'll go up here. Fuck, missed the key. Okay, I'll go back down and holy shit, no, not again. Okay, you see this? See what I'm doing right now? Do you see what I am doing right now? I am opting out, folks. Fucking opting out. I am not standing here so I can shoot this shit again. This is me opting out of combat. Yep, this is literally the last puzzle before the final boss, but nope, opting the fuck out. Fuck off game. Final boss, whatever, done with Tomb Raider 3, fucking done with Tomb Raider 3, and this weapon is not helping. Okay, this is me now pulling up a walkthrough. Okay, Desert Eagle apparently, don't know why that would outclass a rocket launcher. Feel sorry for anyone who ran out of ammo here, but fuck it. Okay, shooting the piece of shit. 10 shots, grab the thing. 10 more, grab the thing. Rinse, repeat, fucking leave. Is it done yet? Am I done? Don't really care at this point. Is it over? Okay, there it is. Bye, folks. That's how it ends. This is how the game ends. Later. Tomb Raider 3 is ambitious. It's glorious on paper, and I'm sure you love it because it's like your first Tomb Raider game, but Tomb Raider 3 can fuck off. You got your good moments. You don't hold my hand. I respect you greatly, my friend. I respect the idea of you vastly. I like that you exist. Repeat playthroughs can even mirror the pacing of Tomb Raider 2. Tomb Raider 2 is an action flick. This is a proper return to A-linear exploration. I mean, that's all well and good. I mean, I like the dark places it went. The damned having no skin, the bland fates of the soldiers in the coastal region, people bizarrely hovering in temples with missing chest cavities, the radiated scientist and mutants, Sophia being like a psychopathic immortal who's also like your fan. I neglected the little touches like the helpful monkeys in the first stage should Lara choose not to shoot any, the helpful flamethrower miners, or how the T-Rex won't see Lara if she stands still. But this execution, this can fuck off. This can fuck off. Tomb Raider 3, fuck off. That's my review. Tomb Raider 3 came out in 1988. Go back there and fuck off. Seriously, fucking sick of shit. Oh my god. 8 more games. 7. Whatever.
Ah, a backpack. Let us hope it does not hold the same luck for you as its previous owner.
I make my own luck, Werner.